Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
The #1 long-form writer that helps SEOs outrank competition at the click of a button using real-time research and NLP. Start ranking content today with contentatscale.ai.
Hello, Brighton. Good morning. Thank you for being here. I am so excited to be here. So my talk is about hopefully showing you how networks are everywhere. And as my title says, I'm going to focus on practical use cases of network visualization and network analysis. So I will start with talking about everyday applications of networks, and then I will move on to looking at how SEOs are using network analysis at the moment. So that's the first part. Then I'll talk about 4 reasons why I think we should lean more on network analysis in SEO. And then finally, I will give you the tools to create your own network visualizations. So let's get started. So networks are everywhere. I'm going to say this a lot, sorry. This is a map. It is also a network. A map is a network. The locations are the dots or nodes in the network, and the roads are the links in the network. Now, it's a great visualization. We all use it. But network analysis also allows us to calculate the shortest route between different places. Google Maps. Let's look at another network, a human network. This is actually more specifically a criminal network. So it's a network of criminals and their associates and the connections between them. Now, it's a great visualization, all good, but network analysis and theory also lets us identify who the key people are in this network, and that's where the strength lies. So we can identify who to remove from the network so that that network will disintegrate. Useful. So how do we use it in SEO? We've all seen amongst the last couple of years how our tools have started incorporating link graphs, right? There's the link graph of Majestic, there's the network graph of SEMrush, and there's the crawl diagram of Screaming Frog, and there's plenty more, right? They're all out there. Now, it's a visualization, right? So it's not fully using the tools of network analysis as well as it could do. So let's say what Screaming Frog has to say. While visualizations are beautiful and fun, they don't provide any more data than is already available in a crawl. They are often not the best way to diagnose issues and don't always tell the whole story. A bit negative. Then Majestic says, the Majestic link graph allows you to see the interconnected network around any website or URL instantly. You can easily verify your website's neighborhoods. And then finally, SEMrush says, the network graph report is made to help you save time in your external link workflow. So to recap, they are all focusing on time efficiencies and simplicity, which is a little bit disappointing if you look at the examples we've seen earlier, right? Also, they're not using it to their full advantage. I think when you've seen some of those graphs, they're often not that simple, are they? I don't think simplicity is necessarily what they give us. So what about us, SEOs? Do we use them wisely? As anything more than data visualizations, let's be honest. So why don't we commonly use network analysis and the theory behind networks? Is it maths? Are we scared of the statistics? I mean, fair enough, be scared of them. But, or is it maybe that you feel restricted by those earlier visualizations seen in the tools because they are, you can't modify them. They are there, you take a screenshot, that's it, right? You are restricted by them. So I know it is a lot to process, but that's why my talk is here, because I want to help you feel like you're in control over them and you know actually how you can use them. So some of you at this point might be thinking, why? Why should we even go there? This is a whole other discipline. Why should we use them? So first, I think we need to understand what we can actually use them for. As I said, networks are everywhere, but why would we care about that? Well, we care about that because networks are at the very core of everything that we care about in SEO. Let me give you 4 reasons. Google, content, internal links, and backlinks. So we're at the second part of the talk now, just so that people who have a brain that need that know this. Let's look at it. Google has an entire team dedicated to this. It's called the graph mining team, and they all wear matching outfits, in my imagination. So what they have to say about that is, our mission is to build the most scalable library for graph network algorithms and analysis, network analysis, and apply it to a multitude of Google products: social, YouTube, ads, Play, Maps, and social. So clearly, Google really cares about network analysis and theory. So we probably should too. Then the next one is content, and the question, what's the winning article? We all care about that. Now, on the right-hand side, here it begins, the networks, is a network visualization of a text. Every text can be represented as a network. You don't have to, but you can. So in this network, we have the words in the text or the article, and they are connected if they co-occur with other words. A word will be bigger in the network if it appears multiple times, more times than other words, and therefore has more links. The colors in the network are actually calculated by something called modularity measure. We will talk about that later, don't worry about it. And it basically shows you topic clusters, you could say. It shows you different clusters in the network. Now, this is an okay example, I think. It lets you maybe think about what made an article a winning article, what about a competitor's article that's done well. You can compare them side by side. It can be a cool way to also introduce some extra words for a content brief. So, you know, it's nice. But this one is my personal favorite for this particular topic. This is a network of the 5 top performing articles for that keyword. It's all put together in there. Again, we are seeing words and the links between the words. A word is bigger if it has more links, so if it's more prominent in those articles, which is called degree centrality, by the way. We'll talk about that briefly. So more links, more popular is a high degree centrality. And the colors, again, are basically the topic clusters. So this lets you quite easily find more contextual keywords, and semantics is what we all care about at the moment, right? Natural language processing, all of that. So this gives you that in a fairly easy to digest format. And now I have to pause and say, this is a network visualization. Don't use this to do your research. I'm giving a presentation. I'm not going to give you a massive table of this with all the numbers, am I? But in your research, usually you'll have quite big sets of data or quite big networks. This is great to show a client or show somebody else to convince them, but that's just what it is. You need to use the table behind it with the data to actually look at this. It's exactly the same. You can color it as well, you know, it's the same. So yeah, this gives you a really good head start for any kind of content brief or content gap analysis, or adding more contextual keywords, and finding new niche keywords sometimes even. So that's content. So what about internal links? That's another thing that we really care about. And the question, what's a winning internal link structure? It obviously depends, sorry. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. It really does depend on the type of website you have, the type of content strategy even that you have. But I would always recommend that you create a template of what you'd like the site to look like on a macro level. So let me show you an example. This is a very basic example I've quickly put together. I don't need you can if you have that brain and you're so inclined. You don't need to map, you know, page per page and how you're going to link to all of them. You can. But you could do it more on a macro level. For example, on the bottom there we have a yellow topic cluster with informational content, how-to guides, all of that. So you can start thinking about, how does that work in my content strategy? How does that interlink with my product pages or my service pages? What would that ideally look like to then also track how my content is performing? You know, your informational content will have different goals from your commercial content. So think about that holistically. So you start thinking about what sections are connected currently, how should they ideally be connected, right? You have taken a step back. And then also, what content should be connecting informational and commercial content? Now, just to give you a quick example, for example, if you are working on a site that sells educational toys, it will have product pages for educational toys, and hopefully it will have some informational articles about things like the toddler development. And if they don't, you'll suggest it probably. But a great thing to have is a bridge article in between them, right? So that the informational articles can be what they have to be. They're about brand awareness, but they're mostly about giving value to people, right? They're looking for an answer to their question. They want to learn about this. You give them the value. If you then immediately link to the educational toys section, that's not always the most natural way to add your internal links. So a bridge article allows you to have the different goals per content section, but also really kind of have that natural flow of internal links. And one example would, for example, be playful learning activities for growing minds, where you're still giving lots of informational value, but it's easier to kind of segue into the product pages. Now, you might all be thinking, this is great, but this is not supposed to be about content, right? This is supposed to be about network analysis. How does network analysis help in this? It helps in two different ways. So there are two statistical metrics. Don't be frightened. You don't need to calculate anything. I won't even give you the formula because you don't need it. There's betweenness centrality. I vaguely mentioned degree centrality earlier. So degree centrality you can actually see on the top left there. So this is all the same network, just different centralities measured. On the top left, the nodes that are the most read have the highest degree centrality. Basically, if that was a human network, they'd be the most popular people. They have the most links, they have the most friendships or connections, right? It's quite simple. Then on the right-hand side at the top, that's betweenness centrality, completely different. The people who are important in that network, or pages in the website, or whatever it is, so the nodes that are the most read have the highest betweenness centrality, and that means that they connect different sections of your network. So in the previous example, that would be a bridge article potentially, or any kind of content that allows people to move through, and crawlers to move through different sections of your website. That's why it's important, because you can see what it's currently actually at, and does it map your actual template. And it's very much like the criminal network we spoke about earlier. Remember? So the second thing that network analysis offers us that nothing else does is to identify those topic clusters or content hubs. And that's done by something called modularity. It's a measure of the entire structure of a network. Again, you don't need to know an awful lot more about that. You just need to understand the principles of it. So this is a real-life example of a website, a very small website, which is why I can visualize it, and you can still sort of understand. So the nodes in this network are the pages in the website, and the links are the internal links. So small website. The nodes that are bigger here have a high betweenness centrality, meaning that they are identified by statistics as being the ones that are important to have information flow between different sections of the website. And then the colors are modularity groups. They objectively look at the structure of the network and say, this is sort of what the different clusters are here. This did not map my ideal templates at all. So I started playing around. You could do this in a table instead of a visualization, but it was quite fun to do it here. So I started mapping what I think the articles are that actually are content hubs or work together as a topic cluster. And then I added another layer on that, and I thought, okay, which of these articles would make good bridges between different sections? It's not always as clear-cut as this is your informational content, that's commercial, this is a bridge article, right? There's a bit of flow between all kinds of things. So I kind of mapped it out. And now I can create a list of actions on where to insert those links, how to make this happen, how to think about the content goals from that as well. So you get some real actions from it. So degree centrality plus modularity groups plus betweenness centrality forms a really good start of an internal link strategy. So now the final thing that we will talk about and that we, I think, care about is backlink strategy and authority building. Now, the majestic quote kind of already mentioned it. With networks and network analysis, you don't just look at the tier 1 backlinks of a domain or a site, you look at the entire neighborhood, the further tiers as well. And you can try and think about answering questions like, who links to the connections of our competitors? And can we get our competitors to link indirectly to us? I think I find that fun. This is the final proper network. It is a network, this time not of pages in a site, but of actual domains and sites and how they link together. It's a filtered network, because if I showed you the massive thing, it's just a massive spaghetti monster. It doesn't tell you anything. So I was looking at an online magazine called Nonchalant Magazine. It's the node in the top left corner, not the orange one, but just the one below that, the green one. And I also looked at its competitor, which is in the middle of the big circle, kind of grayish. And I looked and I filtered down to, I looked at all the backlinks of Nonchalant Magazine and of their competitor as well, so separately, added them all in there, but I also looked at all the sites that Nonchalant Magazine is linking to and all the sites the competitor is linking to. Massive network, filtered it down to the things that I was interested in, and then I immediately saw that Nonchalant Magazine is actually linking to a couple of domains there that are mostly bluish, that are then linking to the competitor sites. They're indirectly kind of supporting them. So maybe little table exports, and let's see what we can do about this, whether it makes sense. And then most of the other nodes in the network are actually websites that the main competitor links out to, but they aren't linking yet to any of the Nonchalant Magazine competitors or anything like that. So this would be another nice little export to make and just go through to see whether they're relevant enough to maybe get a link from any of those or some sort of partnership. So a very sneaky little backlink strategy, and it does not take very long at all. Now you might be wondering how. I've sort of shown you how to do it, but how do you do it yourself, right? Like that's the practical side of things. Do you need a lot of money? Do you need lots of expensive tools? Do you need to go and do a statistical course? No, you don't. You need two things only. You need Gephi, which is a free downloadable tool, works on any computer. You can create your own visualizations with it, and it will calculate those statistical metrics for you. And the other thing you definitely need is a CSV file of your links. It can be any kind of links, right? Could be internal links, backlinks, all of them together. That would be a nice thing in some ways to look at. Co-occurrence of words. It could be the path your cat takes every day in the morning, how many other cats it meets. It doesn't matter because networks are everywhere. Do whatever you want with it. You let Gephi do the rest, basically. And I've added a little link of an old-ish tutorial I once did about how to get started with Gephi step by step. But quickly to show you, there's a statistical module in Gephi. You just click on the Run button, and it will calculate all those metrics for you per node that you have in that network. So it's all in a table behind it that you very easily can access. So even if you have a massive network, you can look at all those things one by one and filter them down and do whatever you like. There's a lot more on here, obviously. As you can see, if you are interested in learning more, you'll have to take a bit more time and read up on that. But I think these are the basic things that you really need. So yeah, I think you can all go out, spot networks in the wild, and hopefully do your strategy on a macro level with network analysis. And now quickly recapping, what I really want you to take from this talk is that networks are more than data visualizations, but also you can control them. You can make your own. You are not stuck to some sort of form of the visualization, and please do. But also, network analysis in theory has so much to offer that even Google uses, right? So have it help you in content strategies, internal link strategies, and backlink strategies. Thank you for listening, and have fun networking.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.